What's up, everybody? Welcome to the most exciting episode since the last time we did this last week. This is episode 18 of We Are One, You Are Two, a video game PlayStation podcast where we talk about mostly PlayStation, but let's be honest, we talk about everything related to video games as well. I'm your host, as always, Rob Fanzo, and joining me this week, once again, Mr. Rocket League aficionado, Mr. God of War, Mr. I live in Chicago and I refuse to move to North Carolina, Matt Rhodes.
Hey, what's up? Yeah, we get more and more interesting every week. So he's right. This is more interesting than the last week. And the last one was pretty interesting. So. Oh,
yeah, absolutely. The last one was, I kept boasting one of our best yet. And I think we might top it this week and we might top it in the weeks to come. Yeah. We got special goodies for you. And believe it or not, what I started doing, Matt, was I started revealing some of the goodies coming down the pipeline over on our Patreon. If you're a Patreon and you subscribe and you subscribe to the $1 or more tier, you get access to my exclusive posts over there behind the scenes, I'm calling it. I started doing that this week. Yeah. Remember, you can find us on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, Soundcloud, YouTube every week. Usually we try to do it by Sunday night or Monday morning. And then I brag about it all week on Twitter. You can find me there at We Are One, You Are Two. Matt, we've got a special episode lined up for people today. We've actually got a developer interview we're going to get to very shortly. But before we get to that, I always like to start off with what we've been playing. And so let's go ahead and talk about that before we get into the real meat of the show. So what have you been playing?
I have been playing, surprise, Rocket League. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I got home today. I was just like, I want to play Rocket League. And then I was like, you know what? No, I need to do God of War. I had, I'm not going to spoil anything for you because I'm a little bit ahead of you, but I had, what was it? Last night or the night before, I had started something that I knew I wasn't going to be able to finish in like the 5 minutes that I had. I was like, crap. So I saved it real quick and then I had to turn off the system and everything. But I was like, I have a half an hour. I can do this thing right now. So I did. And now, that was pretty interesting. Moving along, I had to look up a little thing online to figure out this one of these little locked chests. They always hide their little, those little vases they hide. You got to like chuck the axe at it or whatever to break the spell or whatever.
Right.
Those are annoying.
Oh, I'm sure.
But most of the time worth getting whatever's in that chest.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, that's pretty. Wait, have I been playing? I'm trying to think if I've been playing anything. Oh, we played a little bit of Monster Hunter World.
I was going to say, wait a minute, we played some Monster Hunter.
A little bit of Fortnite. I know.
We did play a little bit of Fortnite.
I played it by myself just for the heck of it. Doing the solo thing. I think the highest I got was 12.
I think that's the highest I've ever gotten. So
I was just like, hey, 12.
We did come really close, though.
Oh, my gosh.
Last time we played.
We were sixth or third? No,
we were third.
Yeah, we were third, yeah.
We were third. There was two other teams, and that was it. Our team we played duos, and we were third.
So close. The camping strategy works, folks.
When you're not good at the game like we are.
Right, when you're terrible at the game like we are and don't know what the power-ups do, because Rob had a mini fort and we could have used it like as soon as we got it.
To be fair, that was my first time finding the mini fort, so I had no idea. It literally blew up a whole fort in front of you.
Yeah, it was a pretty intense fort, but it was too late because I was dead. And then by the time that you started erecting it, it was dead. You were dead too, so.
Yeah, I was dead in the water.
What have you been playing?
Everything, actually. I played Killing Floor in VR, which you've played Killing Floor with me.
Yeah, of course.
It is a whole nother experience when you spin around and one of those things is right behind you, crawling on the floor. I jumped so many times.
Oh, I bet, dude. That's awesome.
I was terrified.
Now, did you pay for that or did you get it for free?
No, I paid for it.
Okay.
I shot out a little developer to the a little email to the developer, but I'm not big enough for Tripwire yet. So you guys got to help us with that.
Yeah. We'll get there.
We will.
This episode will help us get there.
That's right. And so I played Killing Floor and I loved it. I finished Super Hot in VR.
Nice.
No pun intended, but I was super hot by the time I was done because I was dripping sweat. I had to wipe off my VR.
Yeah, let's say you told me before you were just like drenched from like how much you were like actually like involved in the game.
I don't need CrossFit. I just do Super Hot VR.
Hey, that'll save you what, $100 a month?
More than that.
Yeah.
And then I did Monster Hunter World. I got most of Dante's outfits, so I'm pretty excited about that.
Crap! When's that end?
today.
Oh,
We are recording on May 10th, and it ends today, Japanese time. I'm not sure what that is.
It's 5:00, which means I'm screwed.
Yep. I did get I still didn't get his pants. And so my female character is running around without pants. I also played God of War for a little bit.
Nice.
I played Deadbolt on my Vita. I got back into that little indie gem. And I think I want to say that's it. I didn't touch Rainbow Six this week. I don't think I touched anything else either. I'm really thinking hard here. No, I didn't. But I do have a new multiplayer Let's Play game that we're going to have to do.
Sweet.
And we're going to try and upload some of our Fortnite footage, hopefully, here too. I had some technical issues with some of the audio, and so we'll probably have to use your Fortnite, but we'll talk about that.
Okay.
All right. So that's about what we've been playing. We usually do the news at this point, but we're actually going to hold off because we really want to get to
so much news
interview. And so there is a lot of news. We'll hit that up another week. I'm sure it won't go away. Some of it's just going to develop even more. But we're going to go ahead and jump into our topic of conversation, which is actually our developer interview. All right, everybody, welcome to the talk of the show. We're going to do something a little different this week. Instead of having a topic of conversation, we actually have an interview with a very special guest today. We have a developer in-house. So we're going to go ahead and talk to him. He is none other than Kevin Wins. Kevin, how are you today?
Doing great. Thanks for having me, guys. Really enjoy the show. I've been enjoying your God of War talk. I'm a big fan of that series, and I'm interested to play that new one.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I have to say, Matt and I are both newbies to it, but we're enjoying it as well so far.
Yeah.
It's been such a great game. I actually have it on pause right now. While we're doing this.
So neither of you have played any of the previous ones?
No,
we haven't.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so you don't have a frame of reference to compare against the big man child from the other ones?
No, I just know that he's an angry man and finally gave him a heart.
Right, okay.
The Tin Man.
That sounds good.
So we'll go ahead and get it kicked off. Matt, I'll let you take it first.
All right, so Kevin, tell us about yourself and where you currently are professionally.
Yeah, so up until recently, I was doing freelance art direction, websites, logos, print advertising, sort of back in the day doing Flash stuff and Director. I don't know if you guys know that stuff, but sort of more animated graphic design type of stuff. But I've sort of put that on pause and decided to sort of take a crack at doing some game development.
Sweet. And how long have you been doing that?
So this is Relentless Rex, the project that I'm working on. It's my first project, and I've been working on it a little bit over a year. You know, since it is my first project, there's been a bit of a learning curve, and so it's just taken a while to sort of form exactly what the idea for the game is.
Yeah.
So you said it's your first project. What kind of attracted you to the idea of game development then? Because that is quite a switch from before. Well, not quite a switch, I would think, but there's still, like you said, a huge learning curve. And so what kind of attracted you to want to do this?
Well, I think I sort of run my course in the graphic design field. I think there's only so many websites and logos you can develop before you sort of burn out on that. And so I really kind of wanted to get back to more of the illustration roots that I loved when I was growing up, and then also just sort of combining that with more of the interactive stuff that I loved about, Flash and Director and those sorts of old applications that are all now defunct.
I know you talked a little bit about your current project and how long you've been involved. You said about a year, correct?
Exactly.
What should we expect or get out of the project that you are working on?
Yeah, so Relentless Rex is hand-drawn 2D action-adventure platformer where you're alternating between running from Rex and then also doing some exploring, interacting with characters, sort of little mini side quest type missions. Try to create it with combining different ideas, different types of games in mind. So, it does have a little bit of a runner type flavor to it, maybe some of the bones of that, like a bit trip runner. And there are some light musical cue elements that sort of sync up with that. But then it just sort of evolved over time into something that was a little bit more than that. Originally, the original conceit for it was something more along the lines of a runner type game. But after a while, I started thinking, I kind of really wanted to be able to do more. And so sort of added in, the ability to just move in more directions and that sort of stuff. I realized that dichotomy was an interesting one where I didn't necessarily want to shift it completely away from its original intent, but sort of mashing up those two ideas of having something where, this is pure adrenaline, race for your life action segment. And then this is just sort of explore and, take your time and just sort of interact with things part of the game. I just felt like those two things butting up against each other just seemed like a really interesting mix.
Okay.
Yeah, sounds pretty cool. Pardon my naivete, and this is a little off the cuff, but you say hand-drawn, but is it like, is there a specific program you use?
It is literally pencil to paper
okay.
ink afterwards. So
yeah.
I will say that I really love, doing hand-drawing type stuff. And so that's kind of why I did it. But if I'd known going in what that was really going to involve to ultimately get it into the game,
sure.
I don't think I can ever possibly do it again. Like you sketch it out, you ink it, you scan it in, you digitally color it. And in my case, I wanted to be able to have these graphics to use it any conceivable size I ever wanted to. So then I vectorized it, and it's just, it was a pretty intensive process.
Yeah, sounds like it.
Yeah.
Wow. That's really impressive, actually. But if this works out for you, do you see yourself then taking a different approach to what you would do if you would do another one in the future?
Yeah, I have on my big wish list to do a drawing tablet of some type. I've been sort of looking into that, so I feel like that should be hopefully a happy medium between hand drawing and mouse drawing.
Right.
Okay.
That's kind of cool.
There's something impressive about an art style like that that always appeals to me with games when I know that they're in a hand-drawn art style or like that instead of rendered on an engine instead.
Exactly. I feel like you can really tell, right? Like you can just tell that it has just like a little extra character or something sewn into it.
Yeah, there's a certain beauty to it, I think, too.
Yeah.
So where can we find your content right now? And you mentioned Relentless, Rex, several times, but for people who are listening, where can they go to look for that and to find out information about that?
Yeah, so we just launched on Kickstarter is the big thing. So we've got a campaign going on there where we are sort of putting it out to backers where we want them to have a say in the future content that goes into the game. So we're going to have polls for backers that say, here's the next environment, XYZ, which of these do you want? Here's the next power up that goes into level 6, which do you want? And we even have, here's the next playable character. Here are your choices. Which do you want? And anybody, people that contribute at the level that gets the game, they get a say in that. And of course, there are higher tiers where you can just sort of, screw democracy and say, hey, I just want to pick, and I don't want to vote in the poll.
Yeah, no, I was on the Kickstarter myself, and I kind of noticed some of those tiers, and they did seem pretty interesting with develop your own power ups and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I like the idea of people that have always wanted to sort of have a hand in a game and just have a say in the direction of it, but not necessarily want to sit down and draw art assets for hours and hours on end, or teach themselves how to program. But they still love games. They still want to be a part of games. So I felt like this was kind of a cool approach to sort of help that happen.
It actually reminds me a little bit of Mega Man, I think, back in the day. Did that for, I can't remember which Mega Man it was, where you actually had the opportunity to hand draw characters and send them into Capcom. And I think they used that to develop certain characters or certain bosses.
Yeah.
And so that's really appealing.
Yeah.
All right. Well, what do you want people to know most about, would you say?
I really feel like the participation of backers is really sort of the big thing. So, obviously...
What are you doing on my laptop? Those bitches aren't mine.
We're just doing the interview that you said you were too busy for.
What? What are you talking about? I love talking to humans.
Yeah, Rob and Matt.
Rob and Matt. I'm sure Rob and Matt would rather talk to the star and creative brainchild of the game. Move over.
Okay.
I believe, I know from that voice, and I recognize that, and I recognize it maybe from Twitter too. Is that Relentless Rex there?
Yes. Now, humans, what would you like to know?
Oh, man.
Well,
I'm kind of excited now. I mean, I didn't know we were going to be able to talk to Relentless Rex. I'll go with the first one. How old are you exactly in human years?
Old enough to know you can safely ask a T-Rex his age.
that sounds like the same thing I tell my students.
That's what she said.
Well, all right. So obviously you jumped in here, and I know we're not doing this interview.
I jump. I just kind of like moseyed in.
Yeah, that is true. I should, as the English major, have realized I used the wrong word there. I know we're doing this. We're not doing this interview in person. I imagine it'd be hard to, find a space to interview you. But I guess since I can't see you, I was wondering, is it true what they say about your arm length that we say so often in film and historical documents?
My kind suffers from too short to reach your mouth arm syndrome. Little arm syndrome. I also can't scratch my butt. But the length of the arms isn't what matters. It's the size of your feet. Am I right, ladies?
Well, I know that from what I've seen on Twitter, that you are really the one that's in charge of the game.
The entire process and everything.
And so since you do suffer from short arms, how tough is that working on a game with such tiny limbs?
It's tough. Have you seen some of my claw-drawn, not hand-drawn, claw-drawn artwork in the game? You can imagine how long it takes to do all of that with these awkward little thingies I call claws.
I can believe that.
Yeah, that sounds pretty awkward. Now, in the course of creating this game, exactly how many humans have you devoured? Like, how many have you gone through during your process?
Don't answer that.
I see you've done your research. Yes, in a game about hunting down and eviscerating my prey, I sometimes need to recreate scenarios. See, I put my two claws up, recreate scenarios to verify the authenticity of the situations. That's all I'm legally allowed to say about that.
Well, I'm glad you haven't eaten Kevin at this point. And so I assume you're working along with him, obviously, from what he's told us, to help get this game to the public. Has that been hard then to resist eating him, since you clearly can't talk about the other ones?
Well, there's the arm thing we talked about, and got a little bit of a sodium issue, and Kevin likes spicy food, so he's kind of safe. But I recruited him completely out of his own free will. Right, human?
Sure.
So, we can get the artwork done faster. I really kind of don't need him. I'm pretty good at spreading the word for the game myself. I get on Twitter, I tell people, back my game on Kickstarter, or it'll literally eat you and your dog. And they're all like, haha, you're so funny. Okay, I'll back your game. There was this one human that tested my patience with this. He said he was at work and couldn't get on Kickstarter until later that evening. Nobody's seen him for days.
Wow. Yikes. What should we expect to see in a game made by a dinosaur?
Well, as I'm sure you already noticed, there's my gorgeous artwork. Hello. You're supposed to compliment me right away.
Yeah. That artwork is phenomenal.
Absolutely. I knew it couldn't have been Kevin.
My mouth is bigger than your whole body.
Yeah, no, it's an amazing drawing, especially with those tiny limbs.
Was that a dig at me?
No.
Are you talking to me? I don't see anyone else here. Are you talking to me?
I feel like I'm digging myself a hole at this point. So I'm just going to move on.
So I'll interrupt you because my brain is also much bigger than yours. There's definitely going to be some running and screaming and dying. But then, I'm a nice guy. I let the player explore a little and interact with other dinosaurs just to give him this, false sense of hope before I sneak up and devour him. All again for the sake of artistic authenticity. Also, Scarface, and somebody's got to be the bad guy, and that's me, baby, bad guy.
What do you want us humans to understand when playing the game?
Two things. I want players to really get the sense of what it's like to be hunted and eaten. So, they can properly prepare themselves if we ever meet in person. Just trying again. I'll be nice that way. And two, I want humans to understand how hard it is navigating the modern world as a T-Rex. Do I chase this human or that human? Oh, I have heartburn from eating too many limbs. There's a rude teenager saying, bite me. What do I do?
Now, the thing is about this, Rex, is that some people would actually scoff at the idea of a dinosaur creating a video game. Is there anything you'd like to say to that?
Meet me behind the Main Street Taco Bell at 2 p.m. tonight, you little chalupa.
Fair enough.
All right, Rex, we know how busy you are, so we're just going to do one more question. Last but not least, T-Rex are some of the most loved and most feared creatures in the dinosaur world. So what we really want to know is, how can this game impact our perception of your species?
Well, my platform is a way to show people that we T-Rexes do more than simply stalk and consume humans. We also make games about it. And outside of the game, I want people to know that humans and dinosaurs can live together in harmony. As long as they back me on Kickstarter. All right, I've got to bounce. I think I just saw a couple of chubby humans shout by my house. Deuces.
All right, well, thanks for stopping by, Rex.
Bye, Rex. Thank you so much. Kevin, are you still there? Are you safe?
Sorry.
That's all right. I guess maybe you could add rude to the front of Relentless Rex there, but don't tell him I said that.
Okay, yeah, no. You don't want him to know that.
You were telling us about what you want people to know most about it. I don't know if there is anything else you wanted to say about that. That seemed like so long ago now.
Yeah, oh, wow. Yeah, he really kind of stole the show there. As far as participation from backers, I think that's really the thing that we want to really push out there and just let people know and be aware of. As far as the roots of the game, I feel like that it kind of pulls from Rayman aesthetically, and I like to say we throw a little bit of Rampage in there because obviously we've got a T-Rex that's running through and bursting through things and chasing after you. As far as the Bit Trip Runner reference goes, there's just something about Bit Trip Runner. I don't know if you guys have ever played any of the Bit Trip Runners.
I have, yeah.
Okay, so what do you think about those?
I love them. And the other thing, the reason this caught my eye in the first place was you mentioned Bit Trip Runner, and then you mentioned Rampage, which I played relentlessly growing up.
Yeah, no kidding. Hey, you can't use that word, man.
Oh, yeah. Touche.
Yeah, there's something like, I don't know, hypnotic about Bit Trip Runner for me. Like, it's just, you just can kind of get into a real mellow groove with it. And so that's just something that I was really trying to think about as I was matching the music to the actions and that sort of stuff. Obviously, there's a little bit more intensity to it than I think Bit Trip Runner, but, some of the bones with that.
Excellent.
Cool.
What would you say is probably, and we touched on this a little bit lightly before, but now that you're really into the process, what's probably some of the biggest challenges you faced in the creative process besides the hand-drawn stuff?
Yeah. Well, I'll backtrack just a second in regards to influences. I will say that I'm an art guy. Like that's just my world. So I'm really into movies and comics and that sort of stuff. So as far as references go, like I'm a big Hitchcock fan, and I know that sounds really strange in relationship to a video game, but Hitchcock with his philosophies on suspense and generating suspense, and not just kind of bam giving it to you all at once, but sort of building that anticipation. Like I've really tried to be thoughtful about that with the game. In the trailer, for example, I don't know if you guys saw this or not, but when Rex first bursts onto the scene and there's this baby dinosaur there, and he's just kind of like breathing and just like staring at the baby dinosaur, and you're just kind of waiting for like what's going to happen. Like I feel like there's more that's more effective than if he just burst out and immediately started chasing you. I mean, yes, you get like an immediate jump scare, but to me, those seconds in between, those are the things that build the suspense. So. And especially if you don't exactly remember, like, wait, did he start chasing at 5 seconds, 6 seconds, 7 seconds? Like you're just kind of waiting for it and sort of dreading what may happen to this little baby dinosaur. And as far as like artistic influence goes, big fan of Batman the Animated Series. And I know that's probably a cliche as well, but especially those.
It's a good cliche.
Yeah. Especially like the last season where Bruce Timm and company sort of did the redesigns on the characters.
Yes.
Made them more angular and streamlined. Like that's just to me some of the best stuff in animation, like those designs. and a billion comic artists, Ryan Otley, Mike Mignola, Frank Chow. Like, there's too many to name, but like this sort of when I think about a project, sort of what I want to kind of pull from visually, those are the things that I sort of think about. That's kind of, again, my brain is sort of it's a thing that where I want to sort of visually think about the direction I want the game to go in, but then also I do have a little bit of I don't know, I guess an anarchist in me where I'm trying to constantly think of things that would make it different or unique or, frankly, stand out in the crowd. Like there's just so much content these days that you kind of have to think about things and how to make them stand out and how to make them different. Hopefully at the end of that process, you're doing that in a good way and it's, you're not making it stand out and it's because it's crap.
Yeah, I think that is a challenge, particularly with Steam. I know, you just see hundreds of titles released per year, whereas, I think Nintendo in the 80s released over 100 titles, maybe the entire span of Nintendo instead. So
right.
That is tough. And the other thing I want to comment too that you mentioned about influences was I have to say Batman still holds up. Just as an aside for anybody out there who hasn't seen it, it still holds up 25 years later. I went back and watched it a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, did you really?
I did. I watched the animated series. My wife had never really seen it, and I was like, we're going to sit down and watch it. She's like, you're going to watch it. I was like, all right. Huh?
Did you start with the first episode, the Man-Bat one?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, wow.
Yeah, I love that show growing up, too. I mean, it's just funny that... and so, those influences are great. Those are... And it is tough to get yourself out there. And so it's definitely key to stand out among the, I don't want to call it a race to the bottom, but the pile that is building out there sometimes with games. Yeah.
Did you want to touch again on like the challenges other than any kind of the hand-drawn stuff?
Yeah, sorry.
Okay.
I kind of dodged that question, didn't I?
No, you're fine. We want the truth, Kevin.
Right. So it being just me and Rex, obviously that's a pretty small team. So
sure.
All the burden of everything sort of falls on our heads. So the artwork, trying to figure out how to actually turn it into a game, the advertising, shaking the trees and trying to get people's attention and interest. Like, it's from top to bottom a pretty overwhelming process. It's something that I wanted to try at least once, right, to just sort of give me that challenge and not only just have the purity of that vision just be mine, or Rex's rather, but then also something where I could really put my toe in each and every single piece of game development and really feel like I have an understanding for that for when I sort of move towards, more of a team-based project.
Awesome.
Cool. Yeah.
Well, I guess as we start to wrap this up, is there anywhere else that you want to tell us? I know you talked a lot about the Kickstarter, but is there anything else that we need to know maybe about you in terms of Twitter, where people can find you, or website, things like that as well?
RelentlessRex.com. He has a website. You can go there and just sort of learn more about it. He has a fun press kit page where you can sort of grab some fun little GIFs and that sort of thing. I'm sure we're gonna be posting the link to this interview up there as well. Twitter, you can follow me on Twitter. I'm at Kevin Wins. Wins is WYNNS. Or if for some strange reason you care more about a big red T-Rex, you can follow Relentless Rex. He is at Relentless_Rex. Relentless Rex was actually already taken, which is bizarre.
That is actually.
Yeah. It's like some 10-year-old account with one post on it.
Yeah, that figures. And they've owned it forever, not even knowing how important it could be one day.
I heard that you can actually contact Twitter and say, hey, look, this person's just sitting on this account and doesn't do anything with it. Give it to me. But I figured I thought about that. Well, yes, and I thought about it too late.
I do have one more question for Kevin, and I know this is really a question that Rob's been yearning to ask in his mind. Will there be any kind of achievements or trophies? Because that's what Rob really loves in games. This
is what I keep hearing every single time you guys are releasing a podcast. He is achievement and trophy obsessed.
Yes, he is relentless, if you will.
Yes. So there are not any current plans to do that. That said, this is really opened. I'm keeping an open dialogue with backers. So nothing set in stone. If I get feedback that says, "Hey, we really want to include this X, Y, and Z trophies, achievements, that sort of stuff," as long as it's not Rob emailing me 20 times, and sure, I'll definitely consider it.
Well, Matt and I don't know. I know you say you listen to us every week. We love to make up our names. And so,
yeah,
you need sources. Matt's got some witty ones.
You need help naming them.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I'm actually always very impressed. They're never right. Well, no, I think it was one time.
Yeah,
I got
right, one. I got one. Okay.
Yeah. But they're always very good. Sometimes I think they're a lot better than what they come up with.
Well, thanks. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Well, we're trying. I mean, I'll work Matt for free. I mean, I'm already doing that now. So,
right.
Feel free.
Yeah, I know the feeling.
All right. Well, Kevin, that's going to wrap us up. We appreciate you stopping by. We appreciate you taking the time, you and Relentless Rex, out of your busy schedules to talk with us. We'll continue to plug your Kickstarter every week.
Appreciate that.
And certainly, guys, head over to relentlessrex.com, head over to his Kickstarter and search for Relentless Rex. It's real easy to do. I did it. I backed it already. You can too, and let's make this happen because it looks like a really great game. And something that I'm really excited to actually get my hands on at some point down the road. So
yeah, and definitely check out those tiers. I mean, it's really kind of cool, like the different tiers you can get yourself involved in, like how much you want to back it, and like how involved you can be with it.
Oh yeah, and not to pull us back into the you guys are wrapping it up, but not to pull us back into it. But I actually tried to put some thought into the rewards as well. Like there's a poster there where you can get like a promo poster of Relentless Rex, and he'll Photoshop your head into his jaws, and you can like have that and basically put it up on your wall. So it'll be a custom poster of the Relentless Rex with your name in those credits and your face in his jaws.
Nice.
There's original artwork that you can get, that sort of stuff. So yeah, definitely check out the rewards as well. Again, there's definitely some thought put into that as well.
Yeah, my particular favorite, to be honest with you guys, are the boxers and the boxer briefs. Like that one cracked me up. I was like, oh, that's so tempting because I just
do it, man.
I don't even just for that, like.
Yeah, of course.
Those cracks me up. I love that. So I think that's a great idea too.
Yeah.
All right. Well, again, Kevin, thanks for joining us.
Absolutely. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Kevin.
Thanks. That was an amazing interview. I think that went really well.
Dude, that was awesome. I was genuinely intrigued by like the process of like what he has to go through, and I didn't know that he hand draws everything and then scans it in. That's crazy.
That's amazing. Like I told him during the interview, I love hand-drawn games. There's a couple, and I was really trying so hard to think of them when we were talking to him. I can't remember, and I still can't remember,
really?
unfortunately.
Well, Drawn to Death.
Drawn to Death was hand-drawn. Yeah. There was another one that I played that looked beautiful. I can't remember if it was I Am Setsuna or if it was something else that I'm always in awe in that. And so you guys really need to go check that out. We're going to wrap up the show like we always do, though, with See You Soon.
See you soon.
This is where we talk about upcoming games released this week based on the PS blog, because this is mostly a PlayStation podcast. But, when Nintendo Labo came out, I think we talked about that. So out this week, we've got some VR stuff. We got some digital. We've got some retail stuff. We've got something called 2MD VR football. So it's PSVR digital. And so this is a ground baking. Ooh, that would be amazing.
There's nothing like a ground baking game because honestly, I mean, if you want to cook something, you want to cook the ground.
You do. Ground breaking motion control. You don't want to cook in our car, just the ground.
Right, yeah,
motion controlled VR football game. Draw the plays, call the shots, and throw, hand off, or run the ball before the clock runs out. So I think it's 2-on-2 or something, or 5-on-5. It's not a whole field. Speaking with the sports theme, we've got International International Tennis. PS4 digital. My man Nadal's on the front there, although Federer is better, but whatever.
I gotta say though, this cover, I don't know who the girl is. Obviously, you said it's Nadal for the guy. They are both angry. They are
super
screaming.
intense.
Their mouths are wide open, and they're like, "Yes, I just kicked your butt."
I feel like I want to actually draw a hot dog that they're both eating, and they're about to bite down on it.
Sharing a hot dog with my doubles partner.
So, supported by a vibrant community, download and play with thousands of players created by other AO International Tennis fans, including photorealistic players created through Big Ant Studios' proprietary PlayFace application.
What?
Oh, interesting.
So they just like scanned pictures of these people's faces. They're like, well, we're not going to ask for the rights to their images. We're just going to take them.
I wonder if it looks like, remember Mortal Kombat back in the day, how the very first one looked like photorealistic? I wonder if that's what it's going to look like.
Maybe, yeah.
I'll have to look that one up.
Ooh, this next one.
I know, right?
I've heard of this one.
Conan, I'm worried it's terrible though. Conan Exiles, PS4 digital retail. Conan Exiles is an open world survival game set in the brutal lands of Conan the Barbarian. Survive in a savage world, build your kingdom, and dominate your enemies in a brutal combat and epic warfare.
Ooh. I was watching something on this, and you have to kind of like build up your area, and then your area kind of gets attacked by other like NPCs and other players as well.
Oh, really?
Sounded kind of interesting.
Huh.
I'm gonna do this next one.
Don't laugh. I'm actually super pumped about this next one to the point where I might do a Let's Play with it.
Oh, I could see you doing a Let's Play for this. It is called Cool Painter. There is no E in the word painter. It's just painter. Cool Painter VR. PSVR digital. Of course, it's VR, so there's only one sentence about it. And that sentence is, live the awesome experience of painting in 3D space. It's like getting inside your own creation. What?
I'll correct you. There's 2 sentences there.
Oh, sorry. I don't know what periods are. But still, very short description. But I have to say, even though it's a short description, it is a very enticing one.
Yes, and actually, I've seen some stuff on Twitter with this one, and I seriously, I feel like I need to put on Bob Ross in the background and listen to his voice.
Channel Bob Ross and like, oh, happy little tree over here.
I do. I think that's exactly the mood for this. That, or I need some like lo-fi hip hop chill music to do. I mean,
there you go.
I'm pretty sure they announced. Don't quote me on this, folks. I think they did say that you can play custom music in game while you're doing that.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're going to get into your own creative juices, why wouldn't they? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. I agree. Also out on retail, I actually own this one digitally. So I'm kind of ashamed that I only played a little bit of it, but I heard it got real hard towards the end and basically impossible to finish. Darkest Dungeon is getting the Ancestral Edition release. It's a retail release. And it's a challenging gothic turn-based RPG about the psychological stresses of adventuring. What I loved about this game was A, when your adventurers died, they were permanently dead. And B, they could get stressed out during combat and decide they didn't want to fight or decide that they weren't going to do something. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
It was great.
That's crazy. Yeah, that's pretty awesome dynamic.
From what I can remember, like they'd be infected with like fear, and so their attacks would do less damage, or they could be infected with like paranoia, and so they might attack your own party member.
Wow. Cool.
Dead Ahead, Zombie Warfare on PS4, PS Vita, and it's digital. Defend your bus and don't let the hungry horde eat the living. Break through barricades on your way and set up the battle camp to your advantage. So that's awesome. Sounds like the whole thing takes place in a bus.
Yeah, sounds like it. Or at least around a bus, in the close proximity to a bus.
That's where all good battles happen, the bus.
Of course. Well, yeah. Oh, I want this next one.
We talked about this one actually a couple weeks ago, and then because of the people, the tragedy in Toronto with people getting hit by that vehicle, they delayed the release for this game. And so this is coming out now this week. Death Road to Canada.
Yes.
The week you were gone, I had Shane on the podcast, and he talked about how he had played the first Death Road, and it was really good.
Huh. Cool. Well, it's Death Road to Canada, PS4 digital.
Yeah.
Death Road is built for replay value. Everything is randomized. Locations, events, survivor appearances, and personalities. What? There's a different story every time you play. That's it.
That's it.
So it's clearly procedurally generated, I would imagine.
Yeah, that sounds like it. Like a roguelite. I mean, I like those.
Yeah. Or a Spelunky. Or is that?
Oh, yes, Splunk. Yes, Splunky. That was procedurally generated, randomized.
Yeah.
Not quite the same concept, but yeah, right, absolutely, yeah. Grim Legends 3, The Dark City. Mm-hmm. This is PS4 digital. It's out 5/11, so tomorrow. It's a Friday release. Grab your favorite cloak. Don the mantle of a relentless monster huntress in a crumbling city in need of redemption.
Ooh.
And she looks like she wanted to join the Brotherhood in Assassin's Creed, and they were like, look, you got the wrong kind of cape.
Yeah, no, sorry. You don't fit in with us.
You don't fit in with us.
You can't do the leap of faith. Sorry.
No. Go explore your own dark city.
She did a leap of faith. She's like, oh, that hurt. Like, well, can't be with us then.
You did not hit the hay bale correctly. Like a target. They scored points.
Oh my gosh.
Hyper Sentinel, PS4 digital. This looks like a face-melting, pixel-pumping arcade shoot-'em-up featuring awesome power-ups, epic boss battles, and spectacular effects at blistering 60 frames per second.
Is it really blistering 60 frames per second?
Maybe.
Oh, isn't 120 like the new thing? Or am I wrong? I could be wrong.
You're probably wrong.
I don't know.
We're going to have a new segment called Matt Was Wrong. And here it is, folks. He's wrong. Please, consoles can't even get to 30 half the time. They're like 28.5. Although I will say what I love about side note here, Rainbow Six Siege does give you the frame rate if you want to include it at the bottom of your screen. And when you're in the menus, it's 60 frames per second. As soon as you go to gameplay, it drops down to 28. So they do achieve 60 frames per second when I'm choosing my options.
Sweet. Well, that's good. It's good to know.
Why don't you take this next one?
Oh, I'm going to take this next one. Explosion. PS4, PS Vita, digital, cross-buy. So you buy it for one, you get it for the other.
About time. I'm tired of them not doing that to me. I'm looking at you, game I haven't played yet that I forget the name of.
All Vita games
cost me $7.99.
Like. Yeah, sure. Inspired by both modern and old school shooters, and from the developers behind Midnight Deluxe, Explosion is an arcade delight that is simple to learn, yet hard to master, thanks to the endless levels that are decorated only by your colorful ammunition.
Oh, that was clever. Playing imagination there.
Right.
This next one's called Laser League. PS4 digital out today, 5/10. Vaporize the opposition in Lightspeed Future of Sport. An all-new multiplayer experience. Easy to pick up, but near impossible to put down. Laser League starts as a simple test of your reflexes, but soon becomes a strategic showdown with deep team tactics.
I don't know. For whatever reason, my mind went silly with it. And like you said, easy to pick up and like nearly impossible to put down. So like, I don't know. You can't make fun of it. I don't know. That's just what my head went with it.
If you know what he's talking about, write in.
It's so good, you can't make fun of it. It's impossible to put down.
Now, this next one, goodness gracious, the artwork. I cannot wait to talk about this one.
This is awesome. Oh my gosh.
This looks like it's in line with Epic Dumpster Bear.
Yes.
Lunch Truck Tycoon 2. Just in case you missed the first one, lunch is served. Explore the open world of Lunch Truck Tycoon 2, a simulation tycoon game that puts you in control of a lonely lunch truck.
Ooh. So now is it like a Diner Dash where you have to like make the food yourself, you think?
Maybe it's like Overcooked. It's like the knockoff of Overcooked.
Interesting.
I don't know. Might be. I mean, who knows? I'm going to let you read this next one because you normally don't get to read the anime ones.
Oh, great. Give me the anime ones. That's because you like them so much. Mega Dimension Neptunia. Is that 7R or is that VIIR?
I think it's 7R.
It's not VR, it's 7R, right?
Yeah.
Okay. PS4 and PSVR, digital and retail.
VR?
Yeah. It's right up your alley. Mega Dimension Neptunia 7R brings turn-based battles that feature massive enemies, devastating team attacks, and custom combos. After the fight's over, use VR to cross dimensions and meet your favorite characters face to face. Ooh, that's kind of cool, actually.
Yeah, and then you can take them out for lunch.
Oh my gosh, I noticed you across the battlefield. I knew I just wanted to take you to lunch. Just pick your brain a little bit while you're such a bad guy.
Yeah.
No, that is kind of cool use of VR, though. It's kind of like...
It is.
It's basically like what Assassin's Creed does with... what's that mode called? It's exploration mode, right?
Yes, that's correct.
So the VR is kind of... Instead of it being like the fighting in the VR, you're just kind of like an exploration mode and get to know your favorite characters. Aww.
This next one looks like it's straight out of like the PS1 era.
Ooh,
Raging
nice.
Justice. PS4 digital. Raging Justice is a classic beat-em-up game of epic proportions, dragging the savage charm of the genre, kicking and screaming into the 21st century.
Ooh, that genre does not want to come into the 21st century, but they're going to get it there.
Yeah, they are. All right. That was a digital release. I don't know if I mentioned that. Reverie, PS4 digital out 5/10 today, with restless spirits threatening the safety of Taromi Island's inhabitants. I swore we read this one before. Time must venture through dangerous dungeons and across a variety of environments to put the spirits to rest. All in the summer holiday. We have read that one before. That one must have gotten delayed too.
Yeah, maybe.
Holy cow. How many times is Shantae the Half Genie Hero going to have a release? I feel like this game has come out 16 times and there's only 5 of them or something.
Shantae.
This reminds me of what Capcom done. Is this a Capcom game? Because this makes me feel like this is what they do with their games. This is the Shantae Half Genie Hero Ultimate Edition, in case you didn't miss the first 5 or didn't get the first 5.
Yeah.
PS4 digital. The Ultimate Edition of Shantae Half Genie Hero comes with all the previously released DLC modes and costumes in one epic collection. Okay. Couple more here.
What's this? Was it Suberia?
That looks like Suberia, yes.
Suberia? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, Suberia, PS4 digital out 5/9 yesterday. For when we're recording this, that is. Suberia is an intense action puzzler with roguelike elements. Players use their wits to manipulate their enemies into destroying each other.
Maybe.
It looks like kind of looks like those are dying in front of her, but I don't know.
It does. And it also kind of reminds me, it has a very Bioshock vibe or like a Transistor vibe based on that.
Yeah.
On that cover art. Now, this is the one I am so excited for. Tacoma is out finally on PS4 digital. 6 crew members lived and worked on a space station called Tacoma, forming relationships, experiencing love and loss, and facing crises together. Discover not just what happened to these people, but what makes them who they are through your role as an interactive investigator. And I know this one has a platinum because Greg Miller gave them so much crap about Gone Home not having a platinum that they put one in for him.
Oh, wow.
From Kind of Funny. So I am super pumped about that one.
Cool.
I'll let you take the next one because the one after that, I'm super pumped about too.
Through the Woods, PS4 digital. I like the artwork on this. Through the Woods is a third-person Norse horror adventure set in a forest on the western shores of Norway that tells the story of a mother and her missing son. I've actually seen this. I've seen footage of this. It's basically, so a mother's trying to find her missing son. She navigates the forest in this kind of like, this scary forest. And it kind of like, one of the things that I heard about is it kind of gives you the feel of like what children feel like in the woods. Like when you're younger, you think like the woods are like this big scary place. It kind of gives that kind of feeling to it.
Since it's Norse, she runs into Kratos halfway through.
That's right. Well, he's not technically Norse, but
no,
he
not.
is in the Norse realm now.
Yes, correct.
She runs into Atreus and she's just like, "Oh, you're not my son," and then slaps him in the face.
This next one, I'm pretty pumped about. I watched a Let's Play of it, and I think we need to do it.
Okay.
It's called Trailblazers.
Ooh.
So welcome to the Trailblaze tournament. Get ready for high-speed thrills with an explosion of color in Trailblazers, the first ever second-to-second cooperative arcade racer. And so you lay down paint that helps speed up your partner. And so everybody takes turns laying down and covering each other's paint and painting paths. So not only does it tell you basically if you're ahead, where the turns are. That present helps you navigate what's coming up in the track. It also helps speed it up as well.
Well, that's
your
pretty
vehicle.
Cool.
Yeah, it looks awesome.
Ooh.
Last but not least, in case you don't have enough Mad Max in your life, there is Tire or Tear or Tear, The Chains of Valhalla. PS4 digital. Tire, Tear, Chains of Valhalla is inspired by Norse mythology. So everybody's riding the Norse train now.
Oh my gosh, man.
More precisely, the Ragnarok. Oh, now that.
Wow.
Thor, I can get behind that.
You butchered that. It is
I
Ragnarok.
I know, thank you.
Ragnarok.
Ragnarok.
Wow.
Ragnarok.
Ragnarok.
Listen, Fraggle Rock for all I care. Don't copyright us. In a technological world where humanity depends on mega corporations like Yggdrasil, big companies know no limits, competing for the global monopoly. That's okay. I'll forgive you. And foes are at the order of the day. Someone has to put. Wait a minute. Time out. Let's start over.
Oh yeah. Let's just start the whole thing over. Because you messed up Ragnarok.
Tire, the Chains of Valhalla, is inspired by Norse mythology. Dave, don't you cut any of this out, I swear. More precisely, the Ragnarok. In a technological world where humanity depends on mega corporations like Yggdrasil, big companies know no limits, competing for the global monopoly. And foes are at the order of the day. Someone has to put a balance in the city. No, I did read that right. That sentence is god awful. Foes are at the order of the day. Someone has to put a balance in the city. Google, translate.
Right. It's clearly what they did.
See, I may have butchered Ragnarok, but man, they butchered their grammar. All right.
That's it.
Yeah, we're gonna hold off on our day in gaming history. We're gonna hold off on Matt's giving us descriptions for trophies for this week's folks and our community shout out. If you really want to see an awesome community shout out, last week we talked about Katie Bentz, and so go check out her stuff. She did Wisdom Wednesdays every Wednesday, and so if you're listening to this on Sunday, Monday, or Tuesday, you have tomorrow on Twitch or Wednesday on Twitch. You can go check her out. We'll be back with all of that next week. We want you just to enjoy Relentless Rex. Go check that out on Kickstarter.
Yeah.
Awesome guy, both Rex himself and Kevin as well.
Thank you to Kevin Wins.
Yeah, thank you, Kevin Wins. Thank you, Relentless Rex, for stopping by. We appreciate it. We appreciate you guys listening. Go check out their Kickstarter. Go check out our Patreon. I'm telling you, behind the scenes, you would have known that when we were interviewing Kevin today and Relentless Rex.
You would have known.
You would have known. And just for $1, you'll find out some of the good stuff we got coming up in the future as well.
Ooh, yeah.
All right. So that's it. Thanks for joining us. And if you have any comments, find us on YouTube, find us on Twitter. Email me at weare1ur2@gmail.com. I always want to do a reader mail segment, but I have no mail to read. So that's on you. And until next time, guys, game on.
Game on. End of the show. Relentless Rex Edition. End of the show. Relentless Rex Edition.
Classy.
Yep.